I had just transferred $700,000 into my husband's account to save his failing business. But when I drove to surprise him at the office that night, I saw his assistant's car still parked outside at 11 p.m. I walked up to the window and froze. I decided to quietly take back every dollar. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's start. Linda Kessler had signed away her mother's house for this man. 3 weeks later, she found out where the money really went. It started with a phone call that felt wrong the second she answered it. Mrs. Kessler, this is Priya from First National. Just confirming. You authorized a wire of $700,000 to Kessler Logistics Holdings on the 14th? Yes, that's my husband's company account. Great, just doing a routine verification. Have a good night. Routine verification. Linda sat with the phone in her hand for a long moment. Robert never mentioned a call like that. He never mentioned much these days. She thought about her mother's farmhouse. Sold in 11 days flat. No negotiating, because Robert said the company needed it now, not next month. She'd signed the papers at her mother's kitchen table, the one piece of furniture she'd kept, and cried into her coffee after. This is what family does, Robert told her. You save each other. Tonight, she wanted to see him. Just to sit across from him, watch him eat dinner, remind herself the sacrifice meant something. She drove to his office. Dark. Empty. His car wasn't in the lot. She opened the shared tracking app they'd set up years ago, back when his father was sick and they needed to know where everyone was in an emergency. His car blinked on a street she didn't recognize. Maple Ridge Court. 20 minutes away. She told herself there was an explanation, a client dinner, a stalled car. Anything. She drove there anyway. The house was new. 2 stories, stone facade, a for sale sign half pulled from the lawn like someone had already stopped needing it. Robert's car sat in the driveway like it belonged there. Through the front window, lit up gold against the dark street, she saw them. Robert, Amber. 2 champagne flutes raised between them. She couldn't hear the words through the glass, but she didn't need to. She read his lips. To the new house. Amber laughed, leaned into him, and Robert, 65 years old, 26 years her husband, kissed her like it was nothing new, like it was routine. Linda didn't knock, didn't scream, didn't move for almost a full minute. She sat back down in her car, hands steady in a way that surprised her, and opened her banking app. The wire transfer sat there in black and white. $700,000. Status, processing. Funds available in 24 hours. 24 hours. Her mother's house, still not gone. Not yet. Linda looked up one more time at the window, at the golden light, at the life he'd built behind her back with her money, and started the engine. She had a day to decide what kind of woman she was going to be. Linda didn't cry on the drive home. That surprised her most. She sat in the driveway for 10 minutes before going inside, running the math over and over. 24 hours. Her mother's money. A house she'd never been told about. Robert texted at 9:47 p.m. Board dinner ran late. Don't wait up. She stared at the message, then typed back, Okay, get home safe. Her thumb hovered over send for a long moment before she pressed it. 2 can play calm. She called Diane before she even took her coat off. Linda, it's almost 10. What's wrong? I think Robert bought a house. Her voice cracked on the last word, the first crack all night. With her, his assistant. Silence on the line, then Diane's voice went hard and fast. Tell me everything, now. Linda told her. The tracking app, the window, the champagne, the toast. And the money from Mom's house. Linda said. It's sitting in his company account, still processing. It won't clear until tomorrow night. Then you're not done yet, Diane said. Linda, listen to me. You have not lost anything yet. Not until that wire clears. You call the bank first thing tomorrow, and you stop it. Can I even do that? It's a wire, Diane. It's already... You can put a fraud hold on a wire that hasn't settled. I watched my neighbor do it when her son stole her card. Call at 9 sharp. Linda didn't sleep. She lay next to the empty side of the bed. Robert still wasn't home at midnight, at 1, at 2, and stared at the ceiling, running numbers, dates, memories. 2 years, Amber had said once at a company holiday party, laughing. Time flies. I've been Robert's right hand for 2 years now. 2 years. Her mother had died 2 years and 3 months ago. At 9 a.m. sharp, Linda called First National. I need to report a fraud concern on a wire transfer, she said, voice steadier than she felt. $700,000 sent on the 14th to Kessler Logistics Holdings. The rep, a different one this time, older sounding, careful, asked her to hold. Came back 2 minutes later. Mrs. Kessler, I do see the transfer. It's still in processing status, which means we have a window. If there's a documented fraud concern, we can place an administrative hold pending review. But I have to ask, has this account been compromised? Or is this a domestic matter? Linda thought about the golden window, the champagne, the kiss. It's a domestic matter that involves my inheritance being used without my informed consent, she said carefully. I want everything you can legally do to pause that transfer. I can put a temporary hold on it right now. But Mrs. Kessler, this window closes fast. If you want a full reversal, you need documentation showing misuse, and you need it before end of day tomorrow. After that, the funds are considered settled and it becomes a legal matter, not a banking one. Linda thanked her, hung up, and sat at her kitchen table, her mother's table, with her hands flat on the wood. 24 hours had already become less than that. She picked up her phone and opened the shared family cloud account. The one Robert forgot she still had access to. The one with every email, every document, every photo he'd never bothered to lock her out of. Her thumb hovered over the search bar. She typed one word, Amber, 43 results loaded. Robert came home at 7 p.m. looking exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with work. Linda had dinner on the table, pot roast, his favorite, and a smile fixed in place that took everything she had. Long day, he said, kissing her cheek like it meant something. Board's been brutal about the Peterson account. You must be starving. She poured his wine. Sit, tell me about it. He talked for 20 minutes about a client that didn't exist in any of the 43 emails she'd read that afternoon. She nodded in the right places, asked the right questions, watched him lie with a fluency that made her stomach turn, and made her wonder how many other dinners had looked exactly like this one. After he went up to shower, she went back to the cloud folder. The house purchase agreement was the first thing that broke her. 4 Maple Ridge Court, $612,000. Buyer listed as Kessler Logistics Holdings, LLC, investment property. Closing scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Funded, the note said, by a recent capital injection. Her mother's farmhouse. Turned into an LLC line item. Turned into a bedroom where Amber probably kept a toothbrush. The texts were worse. 2 years of them, going back to a week after her mother's funeral. Robert had left the burial reception early that day, told Linda he had a work emergency. The timestamp on the first message to Amber was 4:52 p.m. Same afternoon. Thinking about you today? Sorry it's a hard week for everyone, Amber had written. You make hard weeks easier, Robert replied. Linda's hand shook reading it, But she didn't stop scrolling. She needed all of it now. Not for grief, for leverage. The last email stopped her cold. Sent 4 days ago, Amber to Robert, subject line. Before everything moves forward. Have you talked to the lawyer about the insurance change? We need Linda off the policy and the company assets restructured before the divorce filing goes public. I don't want any surprises when this closes. Robert had replied with one line. Handling it this week. Trust me. Linda sat back in the chair, the phone screen glowing in the dark kitchen, and felt something shift in her chest. Grief curdling into something colder, steadier. He hadn't just been unfaithful. He'd been planning. An exit, a house, a new life, funded by the last piece of her mother she had left, and timed so she'd find out only after it was too late to stop any of it. Upstairs, the shower shut off. She heard him humming. Linda closed the laptop, wiped her face once, and picked up her phone. She typed a text to Diane. I need your lawyer's number tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight. Diane responded in under a minute. Calling you now. His name is Ellison. He's the best there is. Her phone rang. Linda answered on the first ring, already walking toward the garage where Robert wouldn't hear her. Mrs. Kessler? A calm, unfamiliar voice said. Diane says you don't have much time. Tell me what you've got. Linda met Mr. Ellison at 7:30 the next morning in a coffee shop 2 towns over where Robert would never think to look for her. He was younger than she expected, maybe 50, with the kind of quiet, unhurried manner that made her feel like the ground under her feet was solid again for the first time in 2 days. Walk me through it exactly, he said, notepad open, untouched coffee in front of him. She did. The wire, the house, the window she'd seen through, the texts, the email about the insurance, and the divorce papers going public. Ellison's pen moved fast, his face giving away nothing until she got to the part about the funds still processing. That's the whole case, right there, he said. Your inheritance is separately traceable. Sale proceeds from your mother's estate, not marital funds, not company revenue. If that wire hasn't settled, you have every legal right to instruct your bank to reverse it, especially with fraud and misrepresentation on the table. We move now. And the joint accounts? Everything you two share, you're entitled to half at minimum. But if he's already planning to strip you out of the business and the insurance, I'd advise moving those funds into an account in your name only. Today. Before he does it to you first. By 9 a.m., they were at First National. Linda sat across from a bank officer named Priya, the same one from the first call, while Ellison laid out a folder of documents. The property sale deed from her mother's estate, the LLC purchase agreement for the Maple Ridge house, printed screenshots of the emails, time-stamped. Priya's eyes moved down the page, then up at Linda. This is enough for an immediate reversal request. I need to escalate this to our fraud department, but given the documentation and the fact that the funds are still in processing status, she checked her screen. We can likely execute this before end of day. Likely? Linda asked. I'm pulling every string I have, Priya said, already typing. Give me 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes felt longer than the entire 2 days before them. Linda sat with her hands folded, watching the clock on the wall, thinking about her mother's kitchen table. About 11 days to sign away a house that took a lifetime to pay off. Priya looked up. It's done. The $700,000 transfer has been reversed. Funds are back in your originating account as of 9:41 a.m. Linda exhaled for what felt like the first time since the champagne toast. Now the joint accounts, Ellison said. It took another hour. Moving checking, savings, a money market account Robert didn't think she knew about, into a new account under Linda's name alone. By 11 a.m., the Kessler joint finances were down to a shared mortgage and nothing else. He's going to notice within the hour, Ellison said as they walked out. Company payroll runs through some of these accounts. When it bounces, his phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression changed. That was the title company, he said, hanging up. The closing on Maple Ridge Court. It's been moved up. It's happening at 1 p.m. today, not tomorrow. Linda checked her watch. 11:20. He's rushing it, she said quietly. He wants it locked in before I can do anything. Ellison was already pulling out his car keys. Then we're going to be there before he finishes signing. The title company office was the kind of sterile, beige place designed to make big moments feel like paperwork. Linda spotted Robert's car in the lot at 12:52 p.m. and felt her pulse steady instead of race. She'd expected panic. Instead, she felt strangely, coldly calm. Ellison pushed the glass door open first. Let me lead. You come in behind me. Inside, Robert sat at a conference table with Amber beside him, both dressed like they were closing on more than a house. A new life. A closing agent sat across from them, papers fanned out, pen already in Robert's hand. And if you'll just initial here, Mr. Kessler, we can finalize the— Don't sign that! Robert's head snapped up. The pen froze half an inch from the paper. Linda. He said her name like a man caught mid-sentence in a lie he hadn't finished telling. What are you— How did you— Mrs. Kessler, the closing agent said, confused, looking between them. I'm sorry, are you a party to this transaction? I'm his wife, Linda said. And that $612,000 you're expecting to fund this closing came from my mother's estate. It was wired into Kessler Logistics 12 days ago. It was reversed at 9:41 this morning. The agent's face changed. She pulled up something on her screen, scrolled, went pale. The funding confirmation from the buyer's account, she looked at Robert, hasn't come through. I assumed it was a processing delay. It's not a delay, Ellison said, sliding his folder onto the table. My client formally reversed the wire this morning, citing fraudulent use of separately owned inheritance funds. I have documentation. This transaction cannot close without funding, and it will not be funded. Amber's face had gone bloodless. Robert, what is he talking about? Nothing. This is a misunderstanding. It's a paperwork issue. Robert stood up too fast, chair scraping. Linda, we need to talk about this privately. We're well past privately. Linda's voice didn't shake. You used my mother's money. Money I gave you to save your company, to buy a house for her. She glanced at Amber, who wouldn't meet her eyes now. I watched you toast to it through a window 2 nights ago. Champagne and everything. You were spying on me? I was looking for my husband. I found a stranger instead. Robert's jaw worked, searching for footing that wasn't there. You have no right to reverse a business transaction, drain accounts, ambush me at a closing. I have every right, Linda said. It's my money. It was always my money. You just forgot to ask. Fine. Robert's voice turned sharp, cornered. You want to play it this way? I'll file for divorce myself, Linda, And I will take everything, the house, the retirement accounts, everything we built. Linda reached into her bag and set an envelope on the table between them, sliding it across until it stopped in front of him. Everything I built, she said quietly, with money that was never yours to spend. Robert stared at the envelope like it might detonate. Open it, Linda said. Robert's hands weren't steady when he opened it. Divorce papers, already filed that morning. Linda's signature on every line, dated hours before he'd even known his world was cracking. Behind them, copies of the texts, the email about stripping her from the insurance, the company account statements showing 2 years of consulting fees and client dinners that lined up, expense by expense, with Amber's apartment lease, her car payment, a ring that had never made it to Linda's finger. This isn't just a divorce filing, Ellison said. It's a paper trail. Misuse of marital and inherited funds, concealment of assets, and depending on how your accountant explains some of these company withdrawals to the IRS, possibly more than a divorce court will be interested in. Amber stood up so fast her chair nearly tipped. She looked at Robert, really looked at him, like she was seeing him for the first time without the house. The money, the promise of a new life attached. You told me the house was already paid for, she said slowly. You told me there wouldn't be a problem. Amber, you said your company was stable. Her voice climbed, the closing agent watching now like she was witnessing a car accident in slow motion. You said she didn't need to know until it was done. It doesn't matter now, Robert snapped. Nothing's closing today. None of it. No, Amber said. It doesn't. She picked up her bag, didn't look at Linda, didn't look at Robert again. She walked out, heels sharp against the tile, and didn't come back. Robert sat alone at the table full of paperwork that no longer meant anything. A house he couldn't fund, a mistress who'd just left, a wife who wasn't crying anymore. Linda. His voice had gone quiet, almost pleading. 26 years. You're really going to walk away over... You didn't walk away over 26 years, Linda said, standing. You walked away 2 years ago. I just didn't know it yet. She picked up her bag. Ellison gathered the folder. The closing agent said nothing, already reaching for her phone to call her supervisor about a transaction that was never going to happen. At the door, Linda turned back once. You should have just told me the truth, she said. I would have let you go. Instead, you tried to take my mother's house with you. She didn't wait for an answer. 6 weeks later, Linda sat on the porch of a small farmhouse 40 minutes outside the city. Not her mother's original house, long since renovated by strangers, but 11 acres down the same road, bought outright with the money that had once nearly disappeared into someone else's new life. Robert's company folded within the quarter, the accounts unraveling faster than his lawyers could patch them. Linda heard through Diane that Amber had already moved on, and that Robert was renting a 1-bedroom across town, alone. Linda didn't think about him much anymore. She thought about her mother's kitchen table instead. Sitting in her new dining room now. Same scratches, same water ring near the edge, and the coffee she poured herself every morning in a house that was, for the first time in her marriage, entirely and only hers.